That was supposed to be scheduled last week is now finally underway. Welcome to the Big Ten Network. My name is Andrew Pfeiffer alongside Jessica Gardner. We will be on the call with you tonight, and for those watching at home, there's a much bigger battle taking place here tonight in the fight against cancer. Everyone tonight is wearing pink in honor of those who have suffered. And Jessica, a powerful statement from both of these teams.
Yes, I agree. It's awesome to see these two teams come together for something better than just the sport.
Absolutely, and we are back in action with the classic Big Ten matchup here at the Devaney Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. The 1-2 Cornhuskers look to host the undefeated 2-0 Illinois Fighting Illini. The match, which originally was scheduled for January 21st, was ultimately rescheduled due to COVID-19 cases being reported from both teams, as now the rescheduled matchup is taking place here tonight as we are just moments away from Nebraska getting started on the vault in Illinois on the uneven bars. Last time out, Nebraska trailed numerous season highs Saturday afternoon against Iowa and claimed a new season highs as a team on uneven bars, vault, and beam. However, Nebraska did fall to Iowa by just less than a point, 195 to 196. Obviously, Nebraska very unhappy with the last two performances as they have taken two straight losses to BYU at home and at Iowa on the road as they are looking to redeem themselves here tonight at the vault. We are just moments away from the first rotation. Nebraska on the vault, Illinois on the uneven bars. And let's take a look at scouting the competition. Illinois started their season against Central Michigan, winning 194 to 193, and the Fighting Illini captured two event titles against the Chippewas. On uneven bars, Rachel Borden and Mallory Mazewski tied first, scoring about 9.825. Mazewski also tied Mia Towns on the beam with the Illini's second event, scoring 9.825 on their routines. Illinois outscored Central Michigan on 3 of the 4 events to start their season off with a win, and the Illini are coming into the Big Ten with a win against Penn State, defeating the Nittany Lions 196 to 195 this last Saturday. So a busy weekend for the Illini as they have had just 2 matches within the last 3 days. It's a busy weekend for them is followed by Nebraska, who has not had a match since that January 29th loss at Iowa. So busy schedules for both teams here tonight. We are just moments away from the first rotation. Both teams are going through a touch warm-up. And Jessica, there's going to be a lot of big names here tonight. There's going to be a lot of people who could potentially stand out, especially for Nebraska on the vault tonight. Who do you think are some of the people that could potentially get the scores up early for Nebraska and get a good lead?
I think someone to definitely take a look at is Michaela Curtis. She is a senior from Georgia. But all of our Huskers here tonight will actually be performing the same vault, which is a Yurchenko full. What we're looking for here is we're looking for good height off the table. We're looking for a stuck landing. Those things are going to be the difference between the 9.9s and anything below that.
And of course, as always, Nebraska starting out on the vault as the home team. Illinois will be beginning on the uneven bars in the first rotation. Is there anyone on Illinois to watch out for on these uneven bars? And what are kind of the things that you want to look out for when starting out on the bars?
I have seen some things about Mallory Mazewski from Michigan. She is a strong bar worker for the Fighting Illini. Things you want to look for on the bars are perfect handstands, any little toe separations will get you a big deduction. Anything within 10 degrees of 180 is okay, but anything short of that you will see deductions for. So we're looking for nice handstands, nice clean form, nice clean connections. If they fail to make the connections, they will lose points for their difficulty. We're looking for lots of stuck landings, so yeah, I would keep an eye on Mallory Mazewski.
And stuck landings seem like they're one of the most hardest things to do.
Yeah.
As we are underway with the first vault of the evening. Caitlin Higgins. Excuse me, I think they were still warming up. The band kind of got me excited for a little bit. I thought we were underway, but I guess we're still in the touch warm-up here, as I think they're finalizing the judges' table here. They're getting the rest of the stuff set up. It was a little confusing because people were starting to get really excited.
Yeah, a few more minutes here maybe in the touch warm-up before we get started.
The band kind of got going early, and I jumped the gun a little bit. A lot of intensity even before the matchup has started. Definitely a lot of excitement from Nebraska as they are looking to rebound after their last two performances. And when you're Nebraska and you drop two straight losses, one at home against a ranked opponent and one on the road at Iowa, what do you think that, you know, Coach Brink is telling her athletes right now and what they need to do tonight to successfully walk away with a win?
You know, I think just after everything happened with COVID and a lot of people losing their seasons, just to take in every moment that you can competing at home. There really is an advantage to having the crowd on your side. All those little details count, so just go out there, have fun, and do your best.
And one of those players that we were talking about earlier, Michaela Curtis, is one of those players who is taking advantage of her 5th year for the Cornhuskers. As a lot of those athletes are taking advantage of that final season to be able to capitalize, and COVID definitely has become an issue, as now we are underway. Caitlin Higgins on the vault.
Great height off the vaulting table and a stuck landing. That should be a high score for Caitlin Higgins.
And her teammates are running over to high-five her, congratulate her. A strong start for Nebraska.
Great landing. Comes up quick.
So we will now move over to the uneven bars. With Rachel Borden.
Nice clean connection. Beautiful handstand. Another connection here. Stuck landing.
That was Rachel Borden, the senior from Naperville, Illinois. Both strong starts for Illinois and Nebraska. As we now move over to Mallory Mazewski. That is now Emma Spence.
Emma Spence is also performing your Tenko full-on ball.
So excuse my correction, here comes
Great
Spence.
height off the table. Kind of a large hop on the landing.
Nebraska very happy with their first two starters on the vault. Caitlin Higgins, Emma Spence, both stuck landings. Should result in a high score here as we now transition back over to the bars. As now Mallory Mazewski will attempt to keep the scores high for Illinois. Just moments away from Illinois. Their second attempt on the uneven bars, Mallory Mazewski. The scores have not yet come in for Illinois on the bars. Nebraska currently holding a 9.725 overall in the competition. A great start so far on the vault for both Caitlin Higgins and Emma Spence. Caitlin Higgins racking up a 9.725, Emma Spence with a 9.675.
The difference in those scores comes from the landing. If you're watching Emma Spence, she had a larger hop whereas Higgins stuck her landing, so that explains the difference in their scores.
As now here comes Mizuki on the uneven bars.
Nice handstand. Another beautiful handstand. Some giants into the dismount. She stuck the landing. That'll be a high score for Mizuki.
And now over on the vault for the Huskers, Asia Hall.
Again, we're looking for that height off the table and a stuck landing. Solid landing, slight hop, but a pretty good vault overall.
Both teams off to a pretty strong start. Illinois will now go back to the bars. Olivia O'Donnell. And both teams definitely starting strong here tonight. Very impressive off the first 3 athletes for each team.
Yes, definitely.
It does take a little bit of time for the bars to begin. Definitely one of the more nerve-wracking events, as O'Donnell, just kind of trying to mentally prepare for her routine. Sometimes it may take a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, bars is an event where it's very easy to get into your own head. Same with that in beam, unlike the floor and the vault where it's over very quick. Feels like there's almost a little bit more room for error.
And here comes O'Donnell.
Beautiful handstand. Pirouette. Beautiful connection. Looking for the stuck landing on this dismount. Just a slight step. Beautiful routine.
Now we're going to move back to the vault. Kinsey Davis, the 4th vaulter for Nebraska tonight.
Hoping to see that stuck landing.
And she got it, that stuck landing you were talking about, Jessica.
Slight bend in the knees on her full.
Nebraska looks happy with their performance so far, with the lead over Illinois, 29.2 to 19.625.
A 9.8 on vault for Isaiah Hall. That's a huge score. The Huskers needed that.
And a huge score, obviously resulting in an early lead for the Cornhuskers. I think they're coming back tonight with a little bit of vengeance after their last 2 performances. As we now go back over to the bars. As Caitlin Ewald begins her routine.
Good connection there. A little bit short of her handstand. Pack salto. Back to the high bar. She really needs that stuck landing for the Fighting Illini to catch up to the Huskers. And she got it. Beautiful routine by Caitlin.
We now move over back to the vault. Michaela Curtis trying to get things done here for Nebraska. One of those leaders on the floor as she is now up on the vault.
Great height off the table. Beautiful vault.
The Huskers love it. Michaela loves it. A beautiful vault from Curtis. What do you think she did well there on that vault there?
I thought she had a lot of speed coming into the vault that allowed her to get really good height off of the table. It was a beautiful vault. A slight hop at the end, but the height made up for it.
We will move back over to the uneven bars. Mia Takawa, the junior from Sacramento, California, up for the Fighting Illini. as we are just about finishing up with the first rotation. Illinois edged past Nebraska just a little bit, now up 39.2 to 38.975. Here comes Takawa.
Beautiful handstand. Great connection back up to the high bar. Just short of that handstand there. Looking for a stick on the dismount. Double lay, stuck the landing. Beautiful routine. That'll be a high score for Mia.
Back over to the vault for Nebraska, Katie Kinneman. Well,
This
now,
is-
sorry. Keep
No,
going.
you're okay. This is the last vault for the Huskers. Another Yurchenko full. Great landing.
And between both events, obviously the score, deviates back and forth. So nothing is set in stone yet until all athletes have performed their routines, and the judges will take the top 5 scores. Both teams so far look very amused with their performance here in the first rotation, and we will now go back over to the bars to finish things out for the Fighting Illini in the first rotation. Amelia Knight will get things finished for the Illini.
Beautiful handstand. Nice pirouette to a release. Just short of that handstand there. That'll be a slight deduction. Looking for a stick on this landing to keep their lead. Oh, and a step backwards. Overall, beautiful routine for Amelia.
A beautiful routine, but a little bit of a step back when she tried to stick that landing. That might alter her final score, but that'll do it for the first rotation as the judges are finalizing those final scores. Both strong performances from both teams. Currently standing, Illinois has the lead over Nebraska, 49.1 to 48.725. As we finish up the first rotation, they will now rotate. Nebraska will go to the bars. Illinois will go to the vault. And what do you think both teams did really well there? Were there anything that you saw, any mishaps or anything? We saw a couple landings that might not have been stuck from both sides. Do you have any input?
Yeah, I think that Katie did a great job on her last vault of really stepping up and sticking the landing when the team needed it. That 9.675 was a little bit too low of a score for them to count on the vault. And the top 5 out of those 6 scores count. So I think that she did a great job of really stepping up. I think for the Illini, there were beautiful handstands, beautiful casts on the bars. I'm excited to see what they have going into this next rotation.
Illinois edges past Nebraska in that first rotation. As I believe this is Amelia Knight.
Beautiful routine, stuck landing. That'll be a high score.
A 9.725 for Amelia Knight, as that will close things out for the first rotation. As both teams will now switch, Nebraska to the bars, the Fighting Illini to the vault. And we are still in a tight score here at the Devaney Center so far after the first rotation. The Fighting Illini lead Nebraska 49.1 to 48.725. As Nebraska and Illinois are now progressing through their touch warm-ups, getting ready for that second rotation. Giving out free towels and support signs to honor those who are suffering. A beautiful move from both teams to support a cause that is much bigger than the sport itself. Folks, don't forget, after this matchup, Nebraska will look to host Ohio State next week on February 7th here at the Devaney Center at 7 p.m. next week. We are just moments away from the second rotation. Both teams taking a little bit of time, of course, before their routines, need that time to warm up.
Someone to keep an eye on the bars for the Huskers is the sophomore Kinsey Davis. Has a lot of difficulty in her routine. We're expecting a big performance from her tonight on the uneven bars.
Let's take a look at some of those leaders for that Nebraska squad. You were talking about Kinsey Davis as well as Michaela Curtis. The two close friends definitely have a lot of say in the leadership here for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Michaela Curtis in her 5th year after COVID-19, took her advantage of her year of eligibility and is now a strong leader. Nebraska definitely has a lot of those seniors who took advantage of that extra year and are now has those opportunities of leadership down on the floor for Nebraska. And of course, with those seniors comes a few very talented freshmen as well, who are now making their presence known to fill those roles for those athletes.
Oh, most definitely. Something to watch later in the night is the freshman from Nebraska, Hallie Rourke, on the floor. She is the only member of the team who is from Nebraska, and she just last week got a chance to perform on the floor exercise, so that will be an exciting one to watch.
And the 4-minute touch warm-up is just underway, about 3.5 minutes left before we move into the second rotation, as those rotations seem to go by pretty quickly. The touch warm-ups, however, feel like they take a little longer. That's just because, not a whole lot of actions happening right now as both teams are getting ready. And of course, the famous D. Wayne, one of the biggest personalities here in Lincoln for Nebraska athletics, who is hosting the entertainment down on the floor for Nebraska. You can start in 3, 2, 1, go. So I believe the objective of this game here is to try to get the ball into the can. It takes a lot of hand-eye coordination skill that I do not have.
Most definitely. That balance beam is only 4 inches wide, so it's extremely difficult to get the ball to stay on it.
Of course, after the second rotation, we will move to the beam floor rotation. Nebraska will start on the balance beam and then finish things out on the floor, being the home team. Just about a minute left to go, 1:50 that is, in the touch warm-up period before we get started with our second rotation. So far, for those just tuning in, Illinois leads Nebraska after the first rotation, 49.15 to 48.725, a strong start for both teams. This match is still neck and neck, which is pretty typical coming out of that first rotation. We saw a lot of good things from Nebraska as well as Illinois. Not a whole lot of room for mistakes, as Heather Brink is just looking for perfection from her Huskers, saying she wanted to finish all six of those events with solid, safe scores. You never want to have a score that might be lower and leave it on the rest of the competitors to try to make up for it. But it's good that they have that safety net of all those high scores early.
Oh, most definitely, especially where you see the falls on the uneven bars and the balance beam. However, it does make it really hard for your teammates to follow up and know that they don't plan on counting a previous score, that their score has to count.
So when you're Nebraska and you're going up against the bars here in the second rotation, what is something that you need to watch out for? Is there anyone that stands out on the bars is there anything Nebraska can do to kind of sustain their high scoring and potentially take back the lead in the second rotation?
The biggest danger, I'd say, for them on the uneven bars is their difficult releases and connections, because if they miss releases, they miss connections, they don't have that degree of difficulty that they need to score up in the 9.9s. In fact, their score will start at a 9.5, which after deductions puts their score far too low to count and keep up with the Fighting Illini.
And I definitely think with the uneven bars, one of the bigger challenges that they face, of course, is trying not to fall and affecting their score, as well as sticking those handstands, as well as finishing it off with the perfect landing. Obviously, you're moving so fast and takes more coordination and skill than I could even imagine.
Yeah.
And it just puts a lot of pressure on, but both these teams tonight, these ladies doing an excellent job as we are now beginning the second rotation. Up first on the uneven bars for Nebraska is Catherine Thaler. And on the vault for the Fighting Illini, Abby Mueller. Abby Mueller is a 5'4" sophomore from Rochester, Minnesota. And on Nebraska's end, Catherine Thaler, 5'6" junior from Katy, Texas. As we are moments away, just moments, from Mueller getting things kicked off here on the vault for the Illini. Here we go, second rotation, Fighting Illini, Abby Mueller up on the vault for the Illinois.
Yurchenko full, stuck landing, beautiful. It looks like Abby has some pink buns in tonight. Super fun way to contribute.
And support for a cause that is much bigger than gymnastics itself. It is awesome to see both teams contributing to that fight against cancer. Here comes Catherine Thaler.
Beautiful cast handstand. Toe hand to the high bar, that's a Maloney. Pack salto, beautiful connection there. That'll get her the difficulty she needs. Just slightly over on that handstand. Going for a stuck dismount with her giant to a full double tuck. And she gets it. Beautiful routine. That'll be a high score for the Huskers by Catherine.
Now go over back to the vault. Julia Wright for the Fighting Illini.
Again, we're looking for lots of height off the table and a stuck landing. Good height by Julia. That's going into a blind landing, so that's a very impressive stick.
After the impressive stick from weight, we now move over to Genesis Gibson on the uneven bars for Nebraska.
From Genesis, we're going to see a very similar routine to Catherine's. We're hoping to see those same beautiful handstands and that stuck landing.
Here comes Genesis Gibson on the bars for Nebraska.
9.725 for Catherine. Great score to start off the Huskers on the uneven bars. Great handstand for Genesis. Into her Maloney. She's going to connect it to a packed salto. Just over that handstand. This is where her routine is slightly different from Catherine. She's going to do a double lay for her dismount, looking for a stuck landing. Beautiful routine by Genesis.
Genesis looks happy about it. The Huskers look happy about it as we now move our way back to the vault for Illinois. Olivia O'Donnell, who performed in the last rotation on the uneven bars, is now up on her vault.
Great height off the table. Slight step on that landing. The previous two Fighting Illini on the vault put up a 9.725 and a 9.775, so 7.75. So two great scores to start off the vault for the Fighting Illini.
Back over to the uneven bars, Clara Colombo, the 5'1" junior from Caravaggio, Italy. I couldn't even pronounce the hometown.
The Huskers actually have an assistant gymnastics coach who is from Italy, so hopefully Clara is feeling very at home having him as her coach.
And Martina Koman, who is also from Italy. It's very cool to see the international competition in Nebraska.
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely exciting to see as Clara Colombo now has her chance on the uneven bars.
Great handstand. Great release move, beautiful. That was called a Jaeger. Oh, slight fall, that's okay. Again, like we had discussed previously, this is why one of the scores doesn't count.
And with that fall, is it Colombo has a 30-second period to reset, get back on the bars?
Yes, and if she missed any connections or any skills that contribute to her difficulty, it's up to her to try to recompete them or to leave them out of her routine. If she does leave them out of her routine and complete, she will not have the start value of a 10.0. Stuck landing. Great comeback for Clara.
And a great way to finish for Colombo is now Caitlin Ewald up on the vault for the Fighting Illini. This will be their fourth vaulter in the second rotation.
Beautiful height off the table. Nice landing. That'll be a high score.
A great performance from Caitlin Ewald will now go back over to the uneven bars. Emma Spence, who was previously on the vault, will now go to the uneven bars for Nebraska. She is moments away from starting her routine. It's Nebraska's fourth athlete on the uneven bars is just moments away. And when you're doing those uneven bars, obviously you're talking about the connections, you're talking about sticking the landing. Obviously you don't want to fall or make any mistakes. Is there anything that Nebraska can do, especially Emma Spence, to kind of bring back that momentum for Nebraska after the fall from Colombo?
Yeah, I think it's really important that Emma Spence gets all of her difficulty. If you saw Colombo's score flash, she got a 9.275, which without the fall would be a 9.775. So it's really important that she stays on the bars. It's really important that she connects all of her sequences, and she should get a high score for the Huskers. Beautiful handstand, beautiful pirouette. She's hitting her routine. Cast handstand. Giant, she's going for the full double tuck. Stuck landing. Great way to bring the momentum back for the Huskers.
And up next for the Fighting Illini on the vault, Ruth Nataraj.
Very fast coming in. Nice stuck landing. That'll be another high score put up on the vault by Illinois.
That'll take us back over to the bars. Kinsey Roby, one of those emerging leaders for Nebraska, the 5'1" senior out of Gardner, Kansas. Will now be 5th on the rotation for Nebraska on the bars.
We'll see an interesting mount by Roby. She's going to go over the low bar and onto the high bar to mount the bars. Here she goes. Beautiful mount. Hip cast handstand. This is really interesting. She's going to go for a blind Jaeger, and she hits it. Overshoot to the low bar. Cast handstand. Beautiful handstand. Keeping those toes pointed. Double leg dismount. Beautiful landing. Huskers are definitely getting their momentum back on the uneven bars.
And after the strong performance from Roby, we will now move over back to the vault as the Fighting Illini will finish things out with Lexi Powell. As here comes Powell to finish off on the vault.
Great landing. That'll also be a high score. Looks like her start value for that vault was a 9.95, so not the ideal 10.0 we're looking for, but it was a beautiful vault. Emma Spence put up a 9.850 on the uneven bars. That's huge for the Huskers and getting their momentum back.
And a huge score, like you said, for Spence. That'll definitely keep them in this competition through the second rotation. Just trailing Illinois currently by a point, 87.275 to 88.2. Illinois just finished things up on the vault as Kinsey Davis will finish things out for Nebraska on the bars to finish out the second rotation, as Nebraska just took a commanding lead, 97.075 to 88.2.
Beautiful handstand. Uprise free hip. Beautiful release by Davis. Nice transition to the low bar, stuck that handstand. She will also be doing the double lay dismount, very difficult to stick. And she does it. Beautiful routine by Davis.
And her coach definitely happy with that one, giving a nice little fist pump on the landing. You can see the excitement. Boom, she got it.
The Huskers definitely came ready to redeem themselves on the uneven bars. Fighting Illini up on vault. Good height off the table, slight knee bend on the landing. That'll be a small deduction. The judges are looking for your chest up and a tall landing. So when you're bent over like that, they'll find points to take.
So we are just about finished through the second rotation. The judges are making their final decisions. Like you said, Nebraska with a strong finish.
Freshman Emma Stimpson is up on the uneven bars.
Take a look at Emma Stimpson, the 5'5" freshman from Dallas, Texas.
Beautiful handstand into a Maloney. Great catch, pack salto. Back up to the high bar. Looking for nice handstands, pointed toes. Giant. Into the double lay, looking for another stick. Slight step, but a beautiful routine by Emma.
And that should finish things out through the second rotation. Those scores are just now being finalized. And of course, you can't look at the scoreboard for too long because in the blink of an eye, the score could change from a commanding lead to a nail biter in just a matter of seconds.
Most definitely.
Two rotations down as we are awaiting to go to the third rotation. Nebraska will be on the beam and Illinois will be on the floor. Illinois holds a lead currently of 98.075 to 97.675. An absolute close one coming into that third rotation of tonight.
Davis put up a 9.875 on the uneven bars. That's a huge score, highest counted score for the Huskers. Obviously, we're looking for that 9.9. That's the one where they throw the t-shirts out into the crowd, but a 9.875 is huge.
Three Huskers scoring a 9.8 or more on that strong half of the uneven bars. Nebraska still keeping in the competition as they will move to the beam. But Illinois keeps applying the pressure, making it more difficult for Nebraska to put up a high enough score to get ahead, as we are two rotations down here at the Devaney Center, as we are about a minute away from our touch warm-up. And Nebraska did a lot of really good things on the bars with those high scores. You were talking about how Kinsey Davis had a 9.875, so close to that 9.9 that you were saying, but was unable to do so. What are some of the things that Nebraska needs to do going into the balance beam to be able to kind of, they got that momentum back in the second rotation, and now they're going into the third rotation, and they need to put up some decent scores to kind of edge that little tiny separation of points past Illinois. What are some of the things that Nebraska needs to do coming up on the beam?
Same thing as the uneven bars. We're looking for those tiny details, those toes pointed. Can't have those little bobbles, anything like that. That's the difference between that 9.875 that Davis scored versus a 9.9.
And of course, Illinois continuing to apply the pressure. If they're trying to put Nebraska away, and especially in this third rotation up here on the mat, what are some of the things that Illinois needs to do to be able to sustain their lead and keep the ball rolling for the Fighting Illini?
On the floor, we're looking for those stuck landings pretty much on every single event. We're looking for 180-degree leaps, nice height on all of their tumbling passes, not leaving the bounds of the red lines. Those will be things that'll get them decent deductions.
And of course, with the mat routine, always comes a little bit of personality from each of the gymnasts as well. You get to kind of see how they've styled their routine.
Yeah.
And it's always very cool to watch their personalities come out on the mat and translate into big points for either team, as we are just a few minutes away from starting in the third rotation. Again, for those just tuning in, Nebraska going to the beam. Illinois will start out on the floor. As we are about halfway through the competition, Illinois holds a slight lead, 98.075 to 97.675. You are listening to the Big Ten Network. Andrew Pfeiffer joining with you on the call today, Jessica Gardner, and we've seen a lot of action here today.
Oh, most definitely. Another thing that's super fun to watch on floor is watching the teammates on the sidelines while their teammates going on the floor. They actually know each other's choreography, so they'll dance along with them. two very different energies. The beam is definitely a little more tense, a little more quiet, a lot more focused, whereas the floor, you see the girls going out having fun, putting as much energy as possible into it.
And of course, like you said, with that balance beam, that silence, a lot of technique and just poise.
Yeah, staying as focused as possible without getting into your own head. It's definitely a delicate balance.
And you're talking about that mental aspect of the game itself. You know, you could have a performance not go well and it could affect you for the rest of your routine and you could be thrown off. You know,
most definitely.
And Jessica, I know you did gymnastics for a long time, so kind of talk about that. Like, what are some of the things like you have to do mentally throughout the process of your routine to be able to sustain a decent performance, even if you have a mess up in the middle, say you fall or if something bad happens?
It's really important to focus on finishing strong. You can't let your emotions get the best of you, especially because there's 4 events and your team is counting on you to hit all of your routines. And if you don't hit one, you still have 3 other events that your team's counting on you for. So I'd say it's really important to leave the event behind you, move on to the next one with a clear head. You can work through the emotions of it later, but while you're in the meet, you got to focus on the event that's ahead.
And from what may seem like an individual performance, of course, is obviously very reliant, team reliant, and it takes a lot of teamwork from everybody to get their own jobs and individual assignments done to get those high scores. And of course, with how the scoring system works and all, you know, it takes just about everyone to pull off a win.
Oh, yeah. We definitely saw a great job by the Huskers on the uneven bars after Clara's fall on her transition from the high to the low bar. We saw her other teammates step up and score those 9/8s and above that they really needed to keep up with the Fighting Illini.
So we're about 30 seconds away from the 3rd rotation. Emma Spence getting things started on the beam for Nebraska. And of course, over on the Fighting Illini, Abby Mueller getting things done on the floor to kick off this 3rd rotation, and definitely a more exciting rotation indeed. As the 3rd rotation is now underway. Emma Spence on the beam for Nebraska.
A lot of pressure on the freshmen to start things strong for the Huskers.
Emma Spence, 5'5" freshman out of Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And it's always cool to see, you know, those international athletes come into the United States and compete at such a high level.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of fun for the team.
Very astonishing opportunities with people from all different sorts of backgrounds to be able to come and compete. Just one of the beautiful things about athletics. As here comes Emma Spence to start the 3rd rotation out for Nebraska on the balance beam, the freshman trying to make a strong impact here for Nebraska in the 3rd rotation.
Really unique mount by Spence on the balance beam. She's going to go into a wolf turn, which is a very difficult skill looking to hit. Beautiful job. Some much needed difficulty for Spence, keeping the Huskers start value at a 10.0. Front aerial, connected to a back handspring, Very clean, beautiful acro series. Side somersault for the freshman. Solid landing. Spence looks really comfortable on the beam here in her element. Switch leap to a jump. Everything seems to be a hit right now for Spence on the balance beam. She's going to do a round off 1.5 twist for her dismount, looking for a stuck landing. Perfect routine by Spence.
Emma Spence starting things strong off for Nebraska on the balance beam. We will now move down to the floor. Abby Mueller, 5'4" sophomore from Rochester, Minnesota, will get things going here in the 3rd rotation for the Fighting Illini. And for Abby Mueller and for the Fighting Illini in general, what are some of the things on the floor you want to look out for?
Definitely staying in bounds is a big one. So college gymnastics, that step back is not a deduction at all, but if you take multiple steps back or leave the red and cross over to the white, you will see big deductions and flags go up in the corners. Like I said earlier, floor is a fun one because you kind of get to put all of your energy out into it and have fun with the choreography. Quite a bit less stressful feeling than the balance beam.
Like I said earlier, a lot of personality comes out on the floor. Definitely one of the more exciting things to witness.
Slight step out of that. Front layout. You can see her teammates on the sideline clapping for her. Going into what I believe is her final tumbling pass, looking for that stuck landing. Staying in bounds. Great height, double tuck. Slight hop backwards, but a pretty solid pass for the Fighting Illini. Overall, very solid routine. Emma Spence put up a 9.8 on the balance beam, which is a huge score for the Huskers.
After a beautiful performance from Mueller, Asia Hall is now up on the balance beam for the Huskers.
Asia will start off her routine with a full turn. Solid. Into a back handspring layout. Very difficult acro series. We're looking for the stick. Awesome acro series by Asia. Switch leap into a split jump. Great lines, 180 degrees. That's what we're looking for. Front aerial split jump. Solid. Looking for that connection into the split. She got the connection but had a slight bobble. Same dismount for Asia as Spence. She'll be doing the round off. 1.5 twist dismount. Stuck landing. Beautiful. Looks like something might have fallen off the balance beam on that one, but that was a beautiful routine by Asia.
Next up on the floor for the Fighting Illini, Mia Takakawa, 5'2" junior from Sacramento, California, on the second floor routine for Illinois. As we await the scores from Abby Mueller.
We're looking for above a 9.8 on beam for the Huskers to stay in this competition.
Here comes Mia Takakawa on her floor routine.
Starting off with some fun choreography for Mia Takakawa. Round off, double pike. Beautiful height on that tumbling pass. Some fun choreography that her teammates seem to know. Round off 1.5 into a punch layout half twist. Very difficult series to connect. Looking for 180 degrees on those leaps, which she hit. going into what I believe will be her final tumbling pass for the junior. Front layout punch, 1.5 twist, slight hop on the landing. Overall, great routine for Mia.
Mia Takakawa getting things done for the Fighting Illini. We go back to the balance beam for Nebraska, Caitlin Higgins on her routine.
Another fun dismount or mount for Higgins. She will start with a beat jump into a sheep jump. Beautiful connection.
Like you were saying, Jessica, the pure focus and technique.
Especially going to this back handspring, back layout, step out that she just missed the landing on. Her feet did hit the beam, so she will get the difficulty for the pass. She does not need to redo it. But there will be a 5-point deduction for Caitlin. Full turn, trying not to let that fall affect the rest of her routine. Straddle jump, very difficult skill. Then a unique dismount for Caitlin. She's gonna do a gainer pike. Looking for that stuck landing, strong finish. Solid routine by Caitlin. Like we were talking about, something like that is really hard to come back from, so it's impressive that she was able to finish out her routine without any other falls and have a solid ending.
Absolutely, like you said, Higgins, after the fall, was able to finish strongly. Olivia O'Donnell will go back to the floor for the Fighting Illini.
Heading into her first tumbling pass of this routine. Front handspring punch, 1.5 twist double lay. Beautiful height. Round off, 1.5 twist, punch front layout. We're seeing stuck landings for O'Donnell. Great routine overall by O'Donnell.
And taking on the beam for Nebraska, Kinsey Davis is now up for the Huskers. Emma Spence and Asia Hall scores have came in. Emma Spence with a 9.8 and Asia Hall finished with a 9.725. I know, Jessica, you were talking about those 9.8s were important to keep Nebraska in the competition.
Most definitely, but with the Fighting Illini putting up a 9.7 on the floor, we can't afford to have a little bit lower than a 9.8. However, we are going to need the remaining Huskers to hit their routines to make up for Higgins' fall on her previous routine.
And with Illinois with back-to-back 9.7s, need to get the ball rolling on the floor, hopefully end with higher scores. If Illinois is going to pull this one out, as Kinsey Davis is now on the beam.
The Huskers are looking to Davis to step up just like they did on the uneven bars. She will also be doing the back handspring, back layout, step out, and she hits it. That is huge for the Huskers. As you can see, the team's very excited.
A little bit of confidence from the shoulders. Kinsey knows she nailed it.
Aerial full tuck dismount, stuck the landing. Beautiful comeback for the Huskers to keep the momentum going. On the floor, O'Donnell put up a 9.775. Great score for the Illini to keep them in it.
Looking back on Caitlin Higgins, ended with an 8.825. So far the lowest score on the beam for the Huskers, as we now move to the floor for the Fighting Illini. Once more, Caitlin Ewald.
Beautiful tumbling series by Ewald. Great height, slight toe separation on the landing.
Definitely a lot of excitement coming from Illinois as they are getting into her routine.
Yeah, huge contrast to the Huskers, who are very serious and focused over on the balance beam. Going into her next tumbling pass. We're looking for a stuck landing and some beautiful height. Front handspring punch, 1.5 punch layout. Very difficult pass, and she stuck the landing. That's huge for the Illini. Looking for Ewald to put up a big score on the floor for the Illini to keep their lead.
After that performance from Caitlin Ewald, we will now go back to the beam. Catherine Thaler for the Huskers is now up, as we are just a few more takes away from going into the fourth rotation. Nebraska will have the floor, as the Fighting Illini will look to finish things out on the beam.
Thaler definitely feeling the pressure to hit this routine, getting a pep talk from her teammate. She needs to put up a good score for the Huskers.
And here's Catherine Thaler on the beam.
Front aerial, beautiful into a back handspring, solid by Catherine. The acro series is typically the most difficult part of the routine. She got that out of the way. Slight bobble on her switch leap into a beat jump. Doing a front toss pike, very difficult skill. Full turn into her dismount, a round off with 1.5 twists in the back layout. Beautiful landing, some slight bobbles throughout the routine, but overall a hit for Catherine Thaler, keeping the Huskers in it.
Moving back to the floor, Ruth Nataraj for the Fighting Illini.
Ewald, previous to her, put up a 9.750, which is a good score for the Illini on the floor exercise. Both teams head-to-head scoring very similarly on the two apparatus. First tumbling pass, layout punch, 1.5 twist. Into her second tumbling pass. Round off back handspring double tuck. Great landing, a lot of power to perform that pass is needed. Some fun choreography to finish off that routine. Overall, she should put up a great score for the Illini.
That was Ruth Nataraj on the floor, now moving over back to the balance beam for Nebraska. Kinsey Roby will finish things off on the balance beam for Nebraska. Thaler ended with a 9.775.
Starting with a stall to press as a mount, that is an extremely difficult skill. She will go straight into a front aerial. Huskers needing her to hit, that is huge. Acro series. Back handspring layout. Beautiful. Kinsey Roby on the balance beam. Full turn, slight bobble there. She will connect a split jump and a stag jump. Into the stag. Great connection. No bobbles, that's what we're looking for. Side aerial, full layout. Stuck landing. As you can see, once again, for the Huskers, they really came together when one of their teammates didn't perform the way they may have needed to.
And Kinsey Roby finishing things strong off for the Huskers on the balance beam. We will now move back to the floor as Amelia Knight will get her routine started for the Fighting Illini.
Slight step out of that tumbling series. Great leaps, some fun choreography. Beautiful double tuck by Knight. Great landing. She's hoping to put up a big score for her team to keep the lead. As you can see, after Roby's routine, the Huskers just jump back up there, showing that they are still in it. One and a half punch layout. Beautifully done. That should put up a good score for Illinois.
Amelia Knight getting things done for the Fighting Illini. As Michaela Curtis will finish the third rotation for Nebraska out on the balance beam, one of those emerging leaders, taking advantage of her 5th year of eligibility, now on the beam.
Punch front tuck. Her feet did land like earlier, so that skill will count. However, there's a 5/10 deduction for the fall. We're looking for her to get out of her head and finish out her routine as strong as she can. Back handspring layout, step out, layout, step out. That's the most difficult acro series we have seen on the balance beam tonight. Full turn, slight bobble again, trying to get out of her own head. Finish her routine as strong as she can. Another fall on the balance beam, trying to take a moment, gather herself. Her teammates are cheering her on.
Curtis definitely expressing some frustration after the 2 falls already so far.
1.5 layout. Definitely frustration.
After the 2 falls, a good finish from Curtis. This hopefully won't affect her score terribly much as we now move back to the floor.
Luckily, the Huskers have already put up 5 solid scores on the balance beam, so that should not affect their team score.
Back on the floor for the Fighting Illini.
Looking for above a 9.675 to give a boost to the Illini's overall team score. Double pike, beautiful landing, extremely difficult skill. One and a half punch layout. She looks solid on the floor. Lots of height in her tumbling series. Her teammates having fun with that choreography over on the side of the floor, headed into another tumbling pass. Double tuck, beautiful. A double pike and a double tuck in the same routine, extremely impressive. That should put up a great score for the Illini.
A strong finish indeed for the Fighting Illini in the 3rd rotation. As we are now just minutes away from the 4th rotation. Both teams will switch. Nebraska will go to the floor. Illinois to the balance beam.
And you'll see the energies kind of switch as the Huskers head to the floor and have a little bit more fun with the choreography and putting everything into the routine, whereas the Illini get a little more serious and focused for the balance beam. While both are equally as difficult, you can just see the energies change between the 2 apparatus.
Absolutely, and Nebraska scoring a 48.9 on the beam. Illinois with a 48.825 on the floor overall. So far, Illinois still has that lead, 146.9 to 146.575 as we conclude the 3rd rotation, moving on into the 4th. For those just joining in, about to start the 4th rotation here at the Devaney Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is Nebraska Gymnastics on the Big Ten Network. Andrew Pfeiffer alongside Jessica Gardner. As we are just moments away as both teams are beginning their touch warm-ups. Here Nebraska will be on the floor, Illinois on the beam to finish things out here tonight at the Devaney Center. And when you're Nebraska, what are some of the things that you need to do on the floor now to finish strong? Maybe let a little bit of your personality come out, a little bit of sass, show them that you're still in this fight and you can still, there's still plenty of time left for Nebraska to get it done here tonight.
Oh, definitely. This rotation will be huge for Nebraska. They need to have a lot of fun out there, but also pay big attention to details. There's a lot of room for error on the floor exercise. The routines are longer than any of the other apparatus. So it's super important that they pay attention to all the little details. Those turns, those leaps, things that don't seem as big could be the difference between them winning or losing here tonight.
Nebraska only trailing by .325. That's the deficit we have heading into the 4th rotation. Illinois still holding on to that lead after Nebraska had a little bit of trouble on that balance beam, but is still able to sustain a close enough score to keep within reach. That 4th rotation, like you said, Jessica, is going to be huge for not only the Huskers, but for Illinois to sustain their lead and come out with a victory here tonight.
This will be a super interesting final rotation. The Huskers have definitely shown a lot of resilience tonight, putting up good scores on the uneven bars after a teammate fell. Same thing with the balance beam, so it'll be fun to see them fight for it on the floor.
Illinois so far 2-0 on the season, undefeated 1-0 in the Big Ten, as opposed to 1-1 Nebraska. Excuse me, they are 1-2 as they both dropped the last two meets this last weekend at Iowa, and then on January 15th losing to BYU. If Nebraska loses tonight, they will have lost 3 straight. Obviously not a great start to the season as they want, but then in a few weeks they will go to the Big 5 competition where they will go up against Minnesota, Rutgers, Michigan State, and Penn State. Obviously one of the bigger competitions of the year, just halfway through the season. And then we'll start with the Big Ten tournament on March 19th and move our way into regionals and the championships as well. So still plenty of time left in the season for Nebraska. Even if they don't have the start that they want necessarily, they still are keeping it close with these competitions.
Oh, most definitely.
As we are 3 minutes away from starting the 4th rotation, both teams in their touch warm-ups as we speak. Nebraska going to host Ohio State next week on February 7th at 7 o'clock p.m. Same time, same place here at the Devaney Center. As not a whole lot is happening, between those rotations. Of course, during their touch warm-ups, not a whole lot of action, but of course you can reflect on these past events for both teams. Nebraska and Illinois both starting fairly strong on the vault and the bars. Nebraska did struggle on the beam just a little bit. We saw a couple falls late from Michaela Curtis overall, which affected their score, but at the same time, they dropped that 6th score.
Oh, yeah. And definitely along with those falls, we saw some other teammates step up and really get the job done to make up for those low scores. Kat Thaler being one of them who put up a huge score on the balance beam, just following her teammate falling off the beam.
About a minute and a half away from the 4th period, Illinois has the lead over Nebraska, 146.975 to 146.575. So within a third of a point. Obviously it may seem like low scoring, but with the technicalities involved, Illinois, you would consider having a comfortable lead coming into the 4th rotation, but at the same time, nothing's set in stone. Nebraska could come out and perform on the floor, getting the points they need, and you never know. Illinois could come out and have a couple falls on the beam as well, and it's still up in the air. It's still anybody's game here.
Oh, most definitely. When you're counting 5 routines, that's a 1/10 difference on each routine, so Nebraska is not out of this competition just yet, especially with Illini being on the beam, where it's an event where you see gymnasts fall more typically than you see them fall on the floor exercise. It's a little more pressure on Illinois, but not as much pressure as they are sitting in the lead.
About 40 seconds left to go before the 4th rotation, or the 4th rotation on the floor for Nebraska. Emma Spence getting things started alongside Abby Mueller on the beam for the Fighting Illini. Intensity's rising here at the Devaney Center. The Husker Power chants as we are now moving into the final rotation. Energy has to be high, especially for those floor routines.
Oh, most definitely. Getting the energy going in here to keep the Huskers pushing through this final rotation. Obviously, you don't see as much of this when they're on the balance beam. It's a little bit too distracting on an event that requires so much focus.
And of course, now that they are on the floor, it leaves a little more room for enjoyment. And like you said, just having fun, as now the pressure is almost kind of off as the more difficult events are now done for Nebraska. Illinois, coming up on the beam here, is going to have to finish strong with that poise and with that focus And Nebraska just gets to go out and have fun on their passes and hope to land some big points here in the fourth rotation.
Oh yeah, definitely taking advantage of competing at home, especially for those fifth years, taking in the energy of Bob Devaney, hopefully having a lot of fun out there tonight to finish off the competition.
Emma Spence getting things started here for the Huskers on the floor. Abby Mueller on the balance beam for the Fighting Illini. Just moments away from the start of the fourth rotation. Here's Abby Mueller.
Some fun choreography we're also seeing in the Fighting Illini beam routines. Full turn. Looks like she's getting ready for her acro series. Back handspring, layout, step out. Very solid. Mueller's having a strong start for Illinois on the balance beam. Slight bobble there, but recovered from it very well. Front tuck, slight bobbles there, but she recovered from it. Looking for a solid finish to this routine. Round off, punch 1.5, slight hop into a blind landing. Overall, pretty solid routine, solid start for Illinois on the balance beam.
Emma Spence getting things started here for the Cornhuskers on the floor.
Emma Spence into her first tumbling pass, a round off 1.5 step out into a double twist. Great landing for Emma Spence. Now transitioning to the floor for a double wolf turn. We saw this earlier on the balance beam, extremely difficult skill. That was a switch ring. Now headed into her last tumbling pass. Hoping to stick this double tuck. Start the Huskers strong on floor. Great height, beautiful landing. Awesome routine by Spence, who just has some choreography left to finish out this routine. Should be posting a very high score for the Huskers. As you can see, her team is very excited about that.
And with sugar and spice and everything nice from Emma Spence, we'll now move back to the balance beam. Ruth Nataraj for the Fighting Illini.
She looked very solid in all of her skills on the warm-ups. Hoping to do the same thing in her routine. Her feet did hit the beam, so she does not have to repeat the skill. However, that will be a 5/10 deduction. Looking to put that behind her and hit the rest of her routine. Like I said, she hit those all in warm-ups, so I'm sure she is feeling the frustration, but she needs to put it behind her to put up a good score for her team despite that fall. Side aerial. Full turn. Not necessarily bobbles, but slight step outs that could be held a little bit longer, looking for a stuck landing. Slight step backwards. Overall, solid routine. Great comeback from her fall on the acro series.
We'll head back to the floor. Asia Hall up for Nebraska. And here's her routine.
Starting off her routine with a double tuck.
Oh, excuse me, that is Katie Kuhneman, who will be followed by Asia Hall after Kuhneman's performance. Kuhneman is now up for the Huskers.
Second tumbling series, going for that front lay, front full. Great series by Katie. Switch half. Seeing the Huskers have some fun with it after such a serious previous rotation on the balance beam. Switch, wolf full. Beautiful leaps by Katie. Going for the round off, 1.5, front layout, stuck landing. The Huskers are solid on the floor exercise tonight. Beautiful routine by the freshman. As you can see her teammates are super excited, trying to keep that momentum going to keep the Huskers in this competition.
Katie Kuhneman, like we were talking about earlier, one of those freshmen that Nebraska is especially excited about getting things done on the floor for Nebraska. We now move over to the balance beam. Caitlin Ewald for the Fighting Illini.
Beautiful stall to press mount. Again, extremely difficult skill, requires a lot of strength. Headed into her front tuck. She did have some bobbles and falls on those in warm-ups. Probably felt the pressure going into the routine. She's going to repeat the skill so that she can connect it to that back handspring and get the full difficulty. Some bobbles, trying to push past the nerves up there and perform for her team. One arm back handspring, super impressive skill. Amazing that she stayed balanced. Full turn. And it just appears that the Illini are having a hard time getting that momentum going on the balance beam. Great.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Great back layout step out. Trying to put that fall behind her and focus on finishing her routine.
Like you were saying, with the balance beam, of course, a lot of technique. This is where teams tend to struggle a lot.
Oh, definitely. Great stuck landing, strong finish, but again, the Illini have had 2 falls on the balance beam, with one of their previous scoring an 8.950. If they have to count that score toward their team score, that will be really hurtful overall.
And
so
here is Asia Hall for Nebraska on the floor.
some fun choreography for Asia. Starting off strong with a double tuck as her first tumbling pass. Great height, stuck landing. Amazing double tuck by Asia Hall. Wow. Teammates cheering her on. Keeping that momentum going, Rudy. Heading into her final tumbling pass, looking for another hit, just like her double tuck. Front lay, front full. Beautiful height, Asia Hall. Super strong tumbler, putting up a great score for the Huskers.
Asia Hall's happy about it, and so are the rest of the Huskers. They know they are absolutely killing it this rotation. Illinois on the struggling end a little bit when it comes to the beam. Hopefully they can get everything going here with Rachel Borden. And here's Borden, the 5'3" senior from Naperville, Illinois.
Their previous routine, despite the fall from Ewald, did score 9.3, which would not be the worst thing to count. However, we are looking for those 9.7 and above. That's what they've been counting all night, so we want to keep it consistent to keep that lead. Looking solid here on the balance beam. Full turn. Back walk over down to her knee. Back up. Again, looking very confident, like she's ready to get the momentum going for the Fighting Illini. Salto jump. Stuck landing on that punch front layout 1.5 twist. Turning things around for Illinois on the balance beam.
Absolutely, Rachel Borden, the strongest performance from the beam we've seen from the Fighting Illini all night. Now move back to the floor, Michaela Curtis for the Huskers. You saw Michaela Curtis in rotation 3 have a couple of falls on the beam, hoping to redeem herself here on the floor.
Hopefully she can put some of that frustration into her routine. She is performing a double pike and a double tuck, which in the same routine takes a lot of endurance, a lot of power. Starting off with the double pike. Beautiful height, beautiful landing. Some fun music that our teammates are seeming to enjoy. Heading into a front layout, front full. Beautiful landing. Curtis proving herself to be a strong tumbler, keeping the energy going on the floor exercise for the Huskers. Some fun choreography for Curtis. Heading into her double tuck, looking for that same height on the pike. Beautiful double tuck by Curtis. Huge difficulty on those tumbling passes. Awesome routine.
And after a troublesome performance on the balance beam, Michaela Curtis comes back with a strong finish on the floor for Nebraska. As we now move over to the beam for Illinois, Mia Takakawa.
Hoping to keep Borden's momentum going on the beam. The Illini need to hit all of their following routines to keep their lead. Great acro series, great turn, slight bobble. Beautiful leap by Takakawa. She is looking solid on the balance beam. To her acro series back handspring, dismount, twisting layout, slight step, but overall very solid performance by Takakawa.
That was Mia Takakawa on the beam. We now move back to the floor. Caitlin Higgins for Nebraska.
Really unique tumbling pass here. We're going to be seeing a front double full. Slight step out of it. That is an extremely difficult pass. Now going for the front full front lay. And if you will take note of the score, I believe this is the first time the Huskers have taken the lead all night.
Nebraska now has the lead, like you said, Jessica, 185.725 to 184.725, a full point. And we talked about it earlier, Nebraska could take advantage of the floor while Illinois is seeming to be struggling on the beam.
Having some fun with this floor routine here. Into a round off back handspring. Seems to be some choreography, not as much of a tumbling pass for difficulty. Heading into her round off, 1.5 twist front layout. Beautifully done by Caitlin Higgins.
Caitlin Higgins, a strong finish on that final pass. Illinois, we will now move over to Amelia Knight on the beam.
Amelia Knight trying to put up another solid score for Illinois on the balance beam. Switch leap. Very solid on that. Aerial into a back handspring. Slight bobble on that, but she did stay on, which is what we're looking for. The Illini cannot afford another fall on the balance beam. Full turn. Aerial into her dismount. As you could see, she was kind of falling, but she did save it. That should be a decent score by Amelia Knight.
Amelia Knight able to save her score from the struggles she had. Way to finish strong for Illinois. Now up on the mat, Hallie Rourke for the floor on Nebraska.
Hallie Rourke, a freshman out of Waverly, Nebraska, the only one on the team who is a Nebraska native. The very powerful routine on the floor here tonight. She will be doing a double pike and a double tuck. Very impressive to have those two skills in the same routine. She'll start off with the double pike. Oh, slight fall forwards. I'm not sure if her knee hit the ground or not. Right into her double tuck, looking to redeem herself. Beautifully done. Looking for some redemption there on that tumbling series. into a round off 1.5 twist layout, punch front. Great tumbling series, redeeming herself from that first double pike with that slight fall forwards.
Strong finish from Hallie Rourke. Nebraska with a strong presence on the floor tonight as they're able to regain that lead, 195.5 to 195.375 over Illinois. And that's the finish you want when you're Nebraska.
The final routine of the competition on the balance beam, feeling the pressure to get the win back for her team. Beautiful acro series with a slight bobble at the end. Looked like she had it at first. Fighting to stay on that beam.
Definitely when you're Illinois, a lot of pressure on the balance beam here to finish off the night.
Most definitely, especially the last routine, knowing you have the power to put those scores up, to push your team to the win. Slight bobble there. Solid connection. Finishing up her routine, overall pretty solid. It will be a close one between the Fighting Illini and the Huskers. Dismount, stuck landing. Looking to see what the score will be and if it will be enough to regain the lead for Illinois.
In a very suspenseful moment here at the Devaney Center as both teams await. See if Illinois got the job done in that final beam routine.
Waiting for the judge to finalize her scores.
With the conclusion of tonight's matchup, obviously a nail-biter. Great competition from both sides. As like you said, Jessica, we're just awaiting that final score from the judges.
9-7-2-5, will that be enough? As we're looking to see it go into the final score for the Illini.
We are just moments away to see if that final beam score will impact the overall result of the evening. Currently, Nebraska leads Illinois 195.5 to 195.375. We'll see if it's enough for Illinois to come out on top in the end and take the victory. And a nail biter here at the Devaney Center. Definitely, as the pressure's building, just waiting for that final score.
And looks like that score will not be counting for the Fighting Illini. So perhaps it was contributing to her all-around score, but not for the team.
Absolutely. And with the confusion, we are now able to say that the event is finally over. Nebraska getting it done over the Fighting Illini, 195.500 to 195.375. Obviously, a lot of anticipation, thinking that final score was going to make an overall impact in the results of the match, but turns out the score will not be counted, will not make an effort for Illinois' lead. Nebraska coming out on top
at the end of the night. And obviously a huge win for Nebraska after losing their last two. They will go on to face Ohio State on February 7th at 7 p.m. We will have all the coverage. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Big Ten Network. I'm Andrew Pfeiffer.
I'm Jessica Gardner.
Enjoy your night. Huskers get the victory tonight at the Devaney Center. Have a great evening.
Champion on beat with a score of 9.85 from Nebraska, Kinsey Roby. And your champion on the floor with a score of 9.85 from Nebraska, Michaela. Champion in the all-around with a score of 39.25 from Illinois, Mia Takakawa. Now for the team awards. In second place with a score of 195.375, Illinois. First place with a score of 195.5, your Nebraska Cornhuskers.